Hi, welcome to this short but very important video. Does it happen to you that someone else who is equally or less technically qualified than you but seems to effortlessly navigate the system and grow faster than you? Do you sometimes get the feeling that you're not getting enough value for your efforts, that you put in a lot of hard work but are not rewarded for it? Do you feel sometimes like you're being taken for granted for doing what you do and not speaking up? Well, there's multiple actions required to fix this particular problem. And today I'm going to talk about one of them, but it's a really important one. Right at the outset, let me tell you that 90% of career professionals I come across do not have these skills, at least not to the level where they can use them and create a very positive impact. This is the skill where you can speak your mind, say what is bothering you, ask for what you need without being perceived negatively and without hurting the relationships. So what I'm going to do is, this is applicable in a broad range of situations, what I'm going to talk about today. But in order to illustrate these concepts, I will use an example. It doesn't mean it's applicable only in that situation. It's applicable broadly, but I'm going to use that example in order to illustrate how it works. And the example is very straightforward. Let's say that your manager seems to favor someone else. They are giving constantly, they are giving the plum assignments or the challenging assignments to them. They depute them in their absence to lead and so on. And you feel like, well, I have the skills too. Why am I not being given some of those opportunities? So you feel like your manager is biased, that your manager favors someone else without justification, and you are feeling left out. And it's obviously going to hurt your career. It's in terms of your growth, in terms of the money you make, in terms of your peace of mind. So all of this, okay? So I'm going to take that as an example. Now, let's get right into it, okay? And what we are going to basically be talking about is assertive communication. Now, right off the bat, I want to tell you that assertive does not mean aggressive. Assertive is not, sometimes people say assertive means you have to be extrovert to be an assertive person. No, not really. Assertive, the simple definition of assertive is that you speak your mind, you say what you need to say, okay, when you need to say it, but in a non-offensive, non-threatening manner, in a respectful manner, in a way that you dramatically improve the chances of getting it without hurting the relationships. Isn't that magical? So I'll show you how that works, okay? The first thing, okay, now let's understand what really happens here. The reason that when we feel something like this, that's in this example of the manager, you feeling that the manager is favoring someone else and you feeling left out, it creates very strong negative emotions within you. And when we have very strong negative emotions within us, our mind perceives it like a threat and it triggers a fight or flight response within us. A fight or flight response is nothing but an automatic response of our body and mind to deal with a threat. So fight means what? That you put up a fight, you become aggressive, and it basically creates a lot of problems. Flight means you run away from the problem. Running away could just mean that you keep quiet, you don't say anything. That is flight. So typically a very strong negative emotion, unless we have the skills that I'm going to talk about, triggers a fight or flight response in us, which means that we will not get what we need easily. Now, so the first thing that we need to do is recognize that fight or flight response and have the skill to say, I'm going to deal with it, and I'm actually going to deal with it in a constructive manner. So I'm going to have a conversation about this. Deal with it in a constructive manner. Now, if you don't have the skill, you know what happens? And this is the reason we don't often get into these conversations, is because we believe that if we go and approach a sensitive topic like that, like, I feel that you're biased or you're not giving me my due. If I go and tell my manager that, my manager is going to get upset. And when the manager gets upset, it'll make the situation worse than it is right now. So we don't get into it. So basically what is happening is that we feel that we will end up triggering a fight or flight response in the other person. And when that happens, the other person will become defensive or will fight back, and that is going to make the situation worse. So we go into a flight mode ourselves. So what we need to do is we need to get out of the fight or flight mode ourselves and decide to have that conversation, that dialogue, in order to get what we need. And we need to do it in a manner that we prevent the fight or flight response in the other party, so that they are able to talk freely, so that we can understand what they need, and then we can move on into figuring out a constructive outcome from this. So that's the foundation of what I'm going to talk about, the skills required to do that. Now, what are the steps required to do this? Well, so I have laid out the 3 steps over here, okay, but there is a 0th step also. What is the 0th step? Is just our willingness to say that, yeah, you know what, I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to have this conversation. I'm going to talk to this person that I'm having a problem with, and I'm going to figure out how to take this forward. So that is the 0th step. Once you decide to do that, it's a 3-step process. And the 3-step process is very simple. You prepare. So in the prepare step, by the way, it is a reflection step. You haven't yet gotten into a conversation. It is your thinking. And what do you think about? You think about facts, not conclusions. In this case, you say that, yeah, I'm thinking that my manager is biased and is favoring the other person, but I don't know that. All I know is what are the facts is that the last 3 times or whatever, my manager has given this type of task to this other person, and my manager has appointed them to depute him for the when in his absence. So that is the fact that we know about. We don't know that he is or she is biased. That is our conclusion. So we separate those and say, okay, what is the real fact, observable fact, that when I bring up, my manager is going to say, yeah, I did that. Yeah, so facts. So in this step, we separate the facts from our conclusions. We acknowledge our feelings. So in this case, I'm going to acknowledge my feeling of frustration and some anger. Okay, I'm going to acknowledge it and write it down. And I'm going to understand what is my need. My need is not to teach my manager a lesson or to, go and shout at him. My need is not to teach the other person a lesson or have something bad happen to them. My need is that I should get my due. I should feel like I am being treated fairly. That is my need. Okay. Now, once I do that, so this is the reflection step in which all of these things I must understand. What do I need really? What is my interest? How am I feeling about it? And what are the facts of the case? Not my conclusions, not my judgments, not my stories, but what are the observable facts? Once I do that, I get into the setup phase. In the setup phase, remember I said, when I go and have this conversation with my manager, I've got to make sure they don't get into a fight or flight mode. So they don't get defensive and either fight back or just clam up and say, no, nothing doing, there's nothing like it, go away. There's no need to talk about it, not helpful at all. So we've got to create a safe space where they can talk and they are not in, we don't push them. It's up to us to either push them into a fight or flight mode or create a safe space where we can have a constructive dialogue. In the setup phase, we don't yet get to what I want, etc. Or we don't get into problem solving mode. In the setup phase, I tell them that this is what I observed, this is what I feel, and this is what I want, kind of thing. And then we stop and say, I'd like to hear your side of the story. And this is what opens the doors to constructive dialogue. So that is the setup phase. We are not yet into problem solving. And then in the conversation phase, the next step is the problem solving phase, where we talk about, okay, now how do we get this sorted out? What do we need to do going forward so that this problem is resolved? You get what you want, I get what I want, and we understand each other better. So here we talk about interests, not positions. We aim for win-win. This is not going to work unless both parties feel like, yeah, my interests were taken care of, I am understood. And then we do some set up some kind of a mechanism to follow up and make sure that whatever we discussed is followed through and done. Okay, cool. So the prepare phase is pretty clear. Facts, not conclusions, acknowledge feelings, and just decide what is my need. Now I'm going to put the other two phases under the lens and see what do we need to do in order to make it happen well. And I'll demonstrate what I'll do with my manager in this situation. So now, setup. Not yet problem solving. So what do? The first thing we do is always this conversation is one-to-one. You never do it in a meeting or in a group setting. So you ask for some time, and the way you can do it is you can say, yeah, you know what, let's say the manager's name is Sachin. You say that, hey Sachin, can we have a quick chat? And you do it in a very non-offensive, comfortable sort of way, saying that, yeah, can we have a chat? There's something that's bothering me. I'd really like to have a quick conversation with you to, understand, to seek your help. Okay. And find a time when the person is relatively okay to talk, and you are relatively okay to talk. And so that is the beginning of the safe space. This creation of the safe space is the first thing. The problem with many of these conversations is that we jump straight into the problem and the problem solving. Never do that. This is where the skillful people are able to navigate it in such a manner that it opens the doors for a good conversation. Creating a safe space simply means that you give them the due respect, and that starts with your preparation phase. You're not going to believe your conclusions about them. You're going to say this happened, so you're going to say, yeah, I want to talk about it. It's something that is bothering me, not something you are doing that is a problem. No. So creating a safe space means that it's bothering me. I'm not at my best right now. It's just bothering me, and I'd like to overcome it so that I can do my best work. Now, what have you done? You have said something which is also in their interest. It's called mutual purpose. And you are also talking with a lot of respect, which means mutual respect. So these two things, mutual purpose and mutual respect, are the cornerstones of creating a safe space. Spend some time doing it. Think through what you are going to say in this particular situation. So like I said, want to talk to you, I'm just not at my best and it's bothering me, and I need your help. Safe. Describe what happened. Then you can say that, yeah, you know what, I just want to talk about some things that have happened over the last 2-3 months, and what is happening is I have noticed that you gave these 3 assignments, be very specific, this and this, to so and so, to person X, and those are challenging assignments, those are fun assignments, they also gives that person a lot of visibility. I could have done those. I felt that I have the skills to do those, but you give all of them to this person. And I've also noticed that when you are away, you give the opportunity to X to sort of officiate in your place, be your backup, and I believe I also have the skills. So as a result of these things, now this is the state how you felt, right? That is the next step. As a result of this, I'm getting a little demotivated. I'm uncomfortable. I get the feeling that you don't have confidence in me. See how I'm saying it. I get the feeling. I'm not saying you are being so and so. You are being biased. You are favoring. I'm saying this is what happened, and it's giving me the feeling that you don't trust me, that you don't believe that I can do these kinds of things, and it's really bothering me and demotivating me. So now the next is state your need. So I would like to be also in your good books and get some of these assignments, and and then invite them to share their perspective. I'd really like to understand what's your perspective on this. Why is it that these things have happened? I'd really like to understand your perspective, so I'm better informed and we can start working towards what needs to happen. Now they may come out and say specifically, give you some information which may open your mind as to why this was done. So they will share, and in this phase you have to listen. Don't interrupt, don't argue, just listen to what they have to say, why they did what they did, and what their perspective was. If you do this phase well, then they are thinking that, yeah, you know what, so and so person is willing to listen to me and solve the problem. So invite them to share their perspective and listen, and this gives you a better understanding of their need. Yeah. So let me run through this one more time. This is a really important phase, this setup phase. Often we don't do this. We jump straight into problem solving and we push the other person into a fight or flight mode. Problem is not solved, things get worse, relationship bad. So what do we do? One-to-one always, as I said, safe space, mutual purpose, mutual respect. So I'm going to run through the whole thing again and you will be able to see how I do each one of these. So one-to-one, how do I set it up? I say, hey, I want to talk to you. There's something that's bothering me. I need some help. Is it okay? Will you be able to spend 15 to 30 minutes today or tomorrow? And the person will eventually give you some time, right? When they have it, they might say, hey, what's it? Tell me right now. You say, no, I'd like to do it, in a sort of place when we are both relaxed and we have time, and that will be better. If we can just set up a time, then you go there and say, hey, I want to talk about this. And the reason I want to talk about this is that there's certain things happening which have sort of becoming demotivating for me. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm getting a little, and what is happening is I'm not able to give my best, and that's bothering me. I want to do my best for our team, for you. Yeah, and I want to make sure that your needs are met. So is it okay if I describe what happened? The person will say, yes, it's okay, go ahead. And then you say, last 2 months I have noticed that so and so and so and so assignments, which are very nice, challenging assignments, create visibility, have been given to X. I believe I have the technical skills and the attitude to do those as well. I would have loved to do them, but I didn't get them. I also noticed that you depute X as your backup whenever you are not around, and I'm feeling a little left out because those are things that I believe I can also do, and I would really like those opportunities to be available to me, because otherwise I'm feeling a little left out and frustrated. Now I would really like to understand your perspective on this. What is going on? What is happening? What is driving these tasks to be given to them? I really like to understand so that we can move forward in a way that works for you and me. Now they talk, understand their need. Okay. Now, after this has happened, now you get into problem solving. You protect your interest. Don't give up. If they say that no. You say, no, I'd really like this to happen. So going forward, how can my needs be met? I'd like these kinds of assignments. I would like to function as your backup sometime. I'd like that experience because I want to grow, I want to do my best and so on, but protect their interest. Once you have heard them out, say, yeah, I understand what you're saying and how can we do it. So find a way, create some options, and once you have created a path forward with them, just seek commitments. Yeah, when do you think we can do it? Can we get together again in about 2 weeks to see if whatever we have discussed is working for you as well as for me, so that we are both excited about this path forward. Decide how you will, and cordially thank you so much for being there for me, and I really appreciate how we handled it and that kind of thing, right? So that's the method. So it may sound straightforward, but it is not, because it goes against our innate tendencies of fight or flight, which is how our body responds to perceptions of threat. So it is against our nature, but if we learn this, we can really make this into a habit, and this can tackle pretty much anything by doing this. Anything, supposing you have a boss who is micromanaging you and you really are getting troubled with it and you want to go and figure it out, well, you can use this method. You have a stakeholder who is pushing things on you and is extremely demanding, and you and your team are stressed out, working weekends, working 14 hours a day, can't cope up, but it's a very aggressive demanding senior stakeholder. You're not able to say no. Well, guess what? You can use this method to say no to them. Hey, I want to talk to you. Is it okay? Safe space. Me and my team really want to do the best for you, but right now, we are a little bit under the pump and we are not able to do our best. Is it okay if I tell you what's happening and see what we can do about it? Mutual respect, mutual purpose. Then describe how you're feeling, describe what is happening, and go into understanding their perspective, build on it, create a solution, find some options. They may say that right now we can't do it, but yeah, maybe in 15 days time, I think I'll be a little bit, my head will be above water. Can we talk about it again and see? Most people are good and they will warm up to these things. And this is what the people who are able to navigate the system and move forward, grow faster, have the ability to do. So learn this and do this and try it out. It's not as easy as it sounds, as I said, but it's extremely rewarding, and that's what I do. In fact, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I handhold people through this by role playing with them, by coaching them, by helping them understand. And people I've worked with have figured this out and have made tremendous progress, grown faster, made a lot more money, and so on. That's the power of this system. So all the best to you, and do let me know how this goes. All the best.